Well, after what's been a very stressful couple of weeks, the decision has been made and we are definitely moving house. In fact, at the time of recording this video, which is still less than 2 weeks since we received the original text telling us that our landlord was going to be selling our house, but as of time of recording, we pick up the keys in 3 days' time for our new place. So we're going to be moving out of here. We've got a month's overlap where we're going to have both houses, but we're going to be moving out of here, moving into a new house. It's pretty close to the house that we're in at the moment, so we're not having a big relocation to a new area. So that's one element of stress that's taken out of it. But of course, what that means is all of this beautiful Lego behind me that I've been accumulating over the course of this year, plus Anna's Lego room, plus everything else that normal people have in their house, all needs to be packed up and moved effectively 3 minutes down the road. It's going to be a fun few weeks, but this video is not the video where I'm going to start disassembling everything. I've got diagrams and plans and things like that. And I'm basically just going to bring you up to speed with what's gone on since the last video where I explained that this situation might be happening, and just letting you know how we've ended up reaching the point that we've reached and what the plan is for the new place. Because, I mean, I guess the headlines are we're moving from our current 4-bed house to a 3-bed house. But some of the rooms are a little bit bigger, some of the rooms are a little bit smaller, but it effectively means Anna's Lego room is disappearing, but the living room in the new house is 3 times the size of our current one. And because we don't really use a living room, because we're nerds and we don't really sit around watching telly, which is, I think, is what people use their living rooms for, we're basically going to turn the living room into Anna's room. So it's going to have the sofa in there, the TV, her games consoles and stuff, but also all of her Lego, her build table, all that kind of stuff is going to be in the living room. So she's actually expanding to some bigger real estate. I'm still getting to keep 2 rooms. So at the moment I have my office and this Lego room. My office is going to be considerably bigger in the new house than the one I've got here, probably more than somewhere between 1.5 and 2 times the size of my current office. So it's going to be quite the upgrade on the office, but the actual Lego room is ever so slightly smaller than this one. Width-wise, it's about the same, or depth-wise, but it's slightly shorter. So if we were to try and bring the same layout into the new Lego room, we'd probably have to lose one of the tables off the end of the city. And that's one of the reasons why I've come up with a new plan. And we're not just going to pack this up, pick it up, move it and set it up again in the new place. I'm going to do something completely different. But before I show you what that is, I just want to make sure we don't get loads of sympathy or tiny violins and stuff like that coming out in the comments section, because this isn't something that has been forced on us. I know in the last video I kind of left it as I'd presented our current landlord with a proposal that I hope that accept, and that proposal basically would have allowed us to stay here renting for another year and then buy the house at the end of the year. We kind of took the decision out of their hands before they came back to us with a decision, partly because we found a house we really liked. I think the house we're moving into is an upgrade on the one we're in now, even though it's moving from a 4-bed to a 3-bed. It's also moving from a 3-story to a 2-story, so much better for Anna's mobility. She's not going to be going up and down stairs constantly. In fact, she can pretty much just do the stairs once per day, because we've going to have a kitchen on the ground floor. At the moment, the kitchen is on the middle floor of the house we're in now. The toilet is middle floor and top floor. The one downstairs we basically use as a storage room, and you can't actually access the toilet in there at the moment because we don't have a garage. But in the new house, Anna's Lego and games and living room stuff is all going to be in this massive living room, which is right next to the kitchen, which in turn is next to a downstairs toilet. And then there's a separate cupboard, junk cupboard, I'll call it, a big cupboard under the stairs. And because we've got stairs that kind of go around at an angle like that, rather than it just being your typical little Harry Potter triangle under the stairs, it's quite a big cupboard under the stairs for us to put the stuff in that currently lives in our downstairs toilet. So Anna can effectively get up in the morning, come downstairs, have her breakfast, and then if she needs the toilet, it's downstairs. If she wants to play a game, it's downstairs. If she wants something to eat, downstairs, Lego, downstairs. Whereas at the moment, she's constantly up and down all the stairs all day long. The Lego was on the top floor, the toilet's on the middle floor, the kitchen's, you know, it wasn't great. And the stairs were causing problems as she's currently waiting for a knee replacement and back surgery. Going up and down stairs isn't really great. So moving to a house with less stairs and less need to go up and down the stairs was a huge plus for us. Plus, it takes us away from main roads and gets us more into a more of a secluded corner of where we are. Like I say, it's very close by to where we live currently, but at the moment we're on a main road, we're on a bus route, we have all the school kids walking past at the end of the day every day, whereas the new place is very much off in a corner, much quieter, much less of that kind of stuff going on. So in terms of being able to do my job, recording YouTube videos, there's going to be much less times where I can't record because there's so much noise going on outside. So that's a big bonus. Obviously, getting a bigger office for me is a massive bonus. I've effectively been working out of a cupboard for the last 4 years. It is very cramped. It is not at all comfortable. And I'm really looking forward to having an actual office-sized office to work out of. So that's a big bonus. And really, the only downside is the fact that the Lego room is slightly smaller. Other than that, everything else about it was an upgrade. It was even the garden, there's no grass in the garden, so low maintenance garden, no grass. We're going to get an actual driveway that's actually next to the house. At the moment we have a designated parking space that's all around the back of our house, and we just park on the street outside. So there's lots about this house that we've complained about for a long time, and this new house kind of turns all that stuff on its head and fixes all of the problems that we've identified here over the years without us having to move out of area and do stuff like changing doctors, move where Anna is on the waiting list for her surgery, and all that kind of hassle stuff, not move too far away from the kids. None of that. We're staying in the same area. We're not even going to have to change what our local supermarket is, but it's just a better house that suits us better. So as soon as we found that, we were pretty sure we wanted to move there. And I think we left it as we gave the landlord the proposal for what we wanted to do, and they asked for the weekend to think it over. And before the weekend was up, we'd paid the holding deposit on the new house, started the referencing process, and got in touch with the landlord and said, look, this isn't us giving you our notice yet, because obviously we have to get through referencing, by the way. Can you do it a reference? And they gave us a lovely reference. It was great. We got through the referencing process, no problems. Yeah, we said this isn't us giving our notice, but I think it perhaps is better for all of us if we move on, because as much as in an ideal world, we could have rented this for another year and then buy it off her next summer, there's no way for us to guarantee we'd be able to do that. The reason we can't buy now is because we don't have enough accounts for the structure of our business as it is now. We effectively stopped being self-employed and started a limited company a year ago. So we don't have that track record, even though we're doing the same jobs. We've been full-time content creators since 2017, but we effectively stopped doing it and then started doing it again as a new entity. So we don't have the proof of income. So there's no guarantee that in a year we would actually be able to buy the house. Equally, like I say, Anna's on the waiting list for 2 separate major surgeries, which theoretically could happen at any point in the next year or two. We don't know how long the waiting lists are. Her first appointment with the neurosurgeon for the back surgery is in October, and they might take one look at her scans and say, yeah, you're having the surgery next week. It's unlikely, but they might put her on a waiting list and she might have the surgery February, March time. And because it's spinal surgery, and she's also, like I say, on the waiting list for surgery on her knee as well, which they're trying to delay it, but could ultimately be a knee replacement, because she's already had the meniscus cartilage removal surgery years ago on this knee. So there's basically nothing more to remove. So the next step is knee replacement, which they want to avoid doing because she's so young, but it might be the route they need to go down. But 2 potentially major surgeries that could theoretically happen at any time. And if she's having surgery and then having to recover from surgery, I might have to drop down the amount of work that I'm doing, which will then have an impact on our income. It won't leave us to the point where we can't pay our bills, but it could potentially leave us in the point where we can't prove enough income to be able to buy the house. And then we could find ourselves next year not being able to buy the house still, but also not being able to move because Anna's recovering from surgery, and that is a whole level of stress and stressful situation. We just didn't want that year of stress of, will we be able to do it? And equally, we didn't want, because our landlord has been great for as long as we've lived here. We've had no complaints at all. And she's been fantastic through this process as well. She got the reference turned around really quickly. Like I say, glowing reference. She's not even going to be starting to market the property until we've moved out, because she's going to give us a chance to actually get out and get our stuff out before sending the value as well, which I know is in her interest as well, because nobody's going to want to buy a house that's full of all our stuff. But at the same time, she's been really accommodating. She's been really nice. And I didn't want to get to the point where in a year, we're saying to her, you were really banking on us buying the house we promised we'd buy off you. Well, now we can't. Or, I've previously just listed all the things wrong with this house. We might get a year down the line and be like, now we don't want to, because we've found somewhere we like better. Like we've found somewhere we like better. Yes, we're only renting it, but we could potentially look to buy somewhere like the new house next year, the year after, potentially even end up buying the house we're moving into now if we end up in a similar situation again. So it basically gives us that short-term security of knowing we move now, so we're moving before Football Manager comes out, so it's not going to affect the busiest time of the year for work. We'll be signing a long-term lease, so we're not going to have to get kicked out when Anna has her surgery, and we're not going to have any pressure to have to buy next spring like we would have done in this house. So we can just live somewhere until we're ready to move on our own terms. So it allowed us to do this move on our own terms, and then the next step is likely to be the final move we ever do. It allows us to do that one on our own terms as well, and make sure the house that we do end up buying is the right house and the one that we can live in for the next 40 years. So I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for us. This is a great outcome for all concerned. The landlord gets to sell the house now. We get to move to a house that is an upgrade on the one that we're in now. And I get to have all the fun of designing a Lego city all over again. And I love designing my Lego city. So enough waffle. Let's start talking about the Lego city and how that's going to be set up in the new house. So this is the plan. As you can see, I've got my trusty graph paper out and have got designs for all of the rooms. You don't need to really worry too much about the other rooms for now, because the important one is going to be the Lego room. I'll also show my office as well, because there's going to be some Lego moving into my office as well to make up for the room that I'm losing in here. But the big thing you'll notice from the design is, rather than just having a room that's absolutely full of tables, I'm only actually going to be taking 2 of the tables from the current Lego city with me, and I'm going to have them in a square shape with the square wood. That basically, this is the bit that is the beach area at the moment without the second level on, and I'm going to have one little square of build table that is going to be like rotating displays where I can build a beach, build a theme park, build a winter village, build a park, build a train setup, but basically be able to constantly be building, disassembling, rebuilding something new on there by project table. And that table will then have all of our current storage underneath it, so we've got somewhere to put the storage, and that'll be like the working area of the Lego room. And then around the sides here, it's going to be massive heavy duty shelving units. I'm not talking Billy bookcases, I'm talking 600mm deep, so 2 and a bit base plates deep, and full length of the room, turning around a corner, and basically being multiple levels to allow us to build a city on shelves. For context, if we run all the way along there and down there, that is the same size base plate wise as the original Lego city. Before I did the expansion in this room, that L shape is exactly the size that I had for the Lego city in here. But there's going to be 4 levels of this. So we go from being able to fit maybe 12 to 15 buildings in the room like we can in the current Lego room, to be able to do that 3 or 4 times over, potentially up to 60 modular buildings. Obviously, we're probably not going to do that. There'll be other stuff on the shelves too, but lots more flexibility to it. I'm going to show you the shelves. So these are the shelves that I've settled on, basically big, heavy duty garage warehouse kind of shelving that theoretically can hold up to 600 kilograms per shelf, which for context, me and Anna could lie on there together, probably with another couple on top of us. And theoretically, we could basically stack ourselves up on there and it holds the weight. So I'm not going to test it to that degree, but it certainly should be able to hold all of the Lego that we need it to hold. And as you can see, dimensions wise, we've got some serious depth to it. We had the choice between 45 centimeters and 60 centimeters. I'm not making the same mistake that I've made with the Lego City here, where I underestimated everything. So we've gone for the 60 centimeter depth. A typical Lego base plate is 25 centimeters, but you need to leave a little bit of wiggle room. So we're going to have 2 full base plates plus a little bit extra potentially room for 2 base plates and maybe a train track. We'll have to experiment with that a little bit. I still plan to have the tram running along one of the streets, and the way that we do it is we'd probably use the very bottom shelf for storage of like unbuilt sets. I'm probably not going to put built Lego sets on the bottom shelf, purely because when Dave comes in the room, I don't want him to be charging into it, smashing up sets, getting dog hair all over the sets. So I think the city will probably start here, and then certainly on these 2 levels of shelving, there will be streets initially, and that just using the 2 middle shelves as Lego streets in the city will immediately make this bigger than the city that I've got now, because like I say, each one of those levels in that L shape will be the size of how this was originally, before I added in the 2 expansion tables. And remember, we're keeping the 2 expansion tables, which at the moment we've only used for a beach and a theme park anyway, so it's not like they're integral to the city. We can just keep them as a separate thing, and it allows me to get access to them from all sides, because one of the struggles I've had with this is getting to the far end of it. It's like 5 base plates deep here, so going diagonally there, I'm having to reach like 6 or 7 base plates. I can't reach the back corner. I can't reach the shelves that we've got up on the wall because the tables are all in the way. So this means I can reach everything. I have access to everything. And I think it'll look really, really cool to have it on the shelves behind me. And like I say, it allows us to fit more Lego than we've got currently into a smaller space than we've got currently as well, and should look less crowded and messy than what I've got behind me, because then the top shelf will be for display stuff. Like I've got the shelves going around for display around the top of the room at the moment that aren't in this shot, so you can't see them. But that'll be where a lot of my display sets go. We'll then have more display stuff in my office. We'll get to the office in a second. But I think with the depth that we've got on here, we have the potential to run a train line and still have a bend in the train line, have a train line running behind the buildings on one of the streets, so that I can still fit the Bricklink Designer Program station, which I need to change the address on that order. That's something to add to my to-do list. But I could still have that train running around and doing the plan that I had for the top tier of the city behind me, where you just have little gaps here and there where you can see the train passing by, but it's not obviously already there, always there. And then a big pedestrian zone in front of it with a market on and a park area. And all these things I was planning on doing on the top, I can do on one of the shelves of this. And then on the other shelf, I can do my tram, my dream tram setup that I've wanted ever since they announced the tram set was coming. That's coming out on the 1st of August. I can still do that. I can still have the train lines embedded into the road. We can have the row of modulars and a road and a tram line, and it will all fit comfortably. And because unlike on a Billy bookcase, because they're not closed in at the sides, it doesn't matter if they don't exactly fit on the width. We can just have them overlap across multiple units, because we're going to need 2 of these shelving units across the back wall and then 1 up the side. But where they join together, it's fine. We can overlap Lego, and everything's going to be on Mills plates. It's not going to be a problem. And also the heights of the shelves are all adjustable as well, so we don't necessarily have to have it as 4 equal areas. If we decide we want to be able to have a bigger gap so we can fit things like the Avengers Tower and stuff like that in, we can make the gap bigger. But actually, I think the Avengers Tower will probably be in my office. And then my office is going to be set up like this. So it's a bit of a weird shape in that it's a rectangular room, but the door is in this little weird corner recessed area, because it's actually a house that's on a corner. So all of the rooms, apart from the Lego room, are weird, like triangular, irregular shapes, which I think is the reason that nobody else seemed to want this house. That's why we were able to steal in and grab it, and it's perfect for us. But what it actually means is the door just doesn't get in the way. So I've got this whole rectangular area, which, like I say, much bigger than my current office. And I can have my desk at one end and then still have room for the cabinet that at the moment is next to my desk. This cabinet in my current office basically fills this entire length of the room, goes all the way along. Now it can just go at the end underneath the window, and that will have room on it to stand the Avengers Tower, the Daily Bugle, the Lighthouse, the bigger sets, the new camp, the football stadium that I've got could all go on there and be part of the backdrop in the office. There's also then going to be room for 3 Billy bookcases. At the moment, I only have room for 1, which is right behind my desk. So I have my filing cabinet runs along the full width, and then I've got room for 1 Billy bookcase, and then the door is here, taking up more wall space, and then the window is along this wall, again, taking up more wall space. But here, because I can have the cabinet under the window, we don't lose this wall space, and because the door is hidden over here, we don't lose wall space there either. So I can have 1 Billy bookcase there and then 2 running down this side of the wall, and still have room for my fan, my filing cabinet, my PC can live on that. My air conditioner can go in the corner with the hose going out the window to keep the room nice and cool. And it means that I've now got way more storage in here than I have in the current office. Going from 1 Billy bookcase up to 3 means way more space for displaying Lego in here as well. So in addition to the taller, cooler sets being right in shot, because my camera for my Football Manager videos will be about here, and we'll shoot diagonally across the room like that. So we'll catch this side of this probably. There'll be football shirts on the wall above here. And then on this bookcase, this will just basically be filled with Lego and some of my football memorabilia, my Irving Tony boot, that kind of thing. But this whole area can be Lego that I want to display when I'm recording videos in there. This one for storage stuff that's not Lego, or more Lego for display. And I know some of you might have said, hey Kev, where are you going to be doing your building? On this desk, because the great thing about these 2 rooms is they are right next to each other. The door to the office is here, the door to the Lego room is here. They are literally touching. So if I'm sat here with the 2 doors propped open, it almost becomes one big room that is then just separated by a wall down the middle for me to stand my desk on. So rather than needing a separate table in the Lego room to build at, I can do my building at my main desk, which is much bigger than this desk, like twice the size of the desk that I'm sat at now. Plenty of space to be able to do it. And then when stuff is built, I can just bring it through into the Lego room and put it on display, or put it on display in here. And I think it's all going to work really, really well. Obviously, once we get the keys to the new place and start assembling some of the furniture and moving some Lego over, I'll obviously vlog all that as well, so you can see this as it's taking shape. And I'm sure it will make a lot more sense to people who aren't as anal about designing their rooms as I am. Once you actually start seeing the rooms and seeing stuff start to fill it, I'm sure it'll make more sense. But I'm not at all worried about the 1 desk situation. If I was, I could easily sacrifice the project tables and have the build table in there. I could push them against the wall, because at the moment I have them, if I've got the design here somewhere. No, that's our bedroom, that's the living room. I don't need to show you all of those, they're very boring. But on this one, as you can see, we've got the outline of the room here, and the project table is in the middle of it so that I can access it from all sides. If I decide, and we've got the keys to this place until the end of August, so we're hoping to move within 2 weeks. So we'll have at least a week in the new place to see if this works. And if I find myself frustrated by having to move between the 2 rooms, I can just shove these tables into the corner and then still fit the build table in there. You can see I originally had it in and I've kind of rubbed it out and thought, I don't need it. Let's have some space to access the project table. But it can always go back in, and we won't be putting stuff like that in storage until we have to give the keys back to this place. We'll just leave it in here. And if we need to move it over, I can literally carry it down the street. The house is that close to where we live now. So yeah, lots of potential. Very excited about the plans. Cannot wait to get started. We, like I say, I'm a little bit frustrated we don't get the keys for a few more days, because I just want to get started on moving stuff. I'm not planning on like packing up all the Lego into boxes, because it's so close, rather than leaving the Lego stuff to removal men to do. The plan is we're getting those shelving units delivered to the new house the day after we get the keys. So I'm going to immediately assemble them in the Lego room. And then before we do any other kind of removal stuff, a week before we have removal men booked for, I'm going to just take a day, basically moving all the Lego over in the back of the car, and not worry about taking a day to not set it up nicely or anything in there, just literally fill the shelves with all the Lego from this room, all the Lego from Anna's room. All of our Lego will just get piled up in the Lego room, and then we'll shut that door and it won't be opened again until after all of the other removal stuff is done, because that way we don't have to leave any of the Lego to removal men, and they won't need to put any furniture in there because I can move the tables myself and it'll all be fine. And yeah, that's the plan, and we should be moved in, fingers crossed, touch wood, we should be moved in before the second weekend of August. And obviously there'll be videos showing the process. We'll be able to show you what we're doing with Anna's room as well. That design isn't finalised yet, which is why I'm not showing you that just yet. But it's basically, imagine a big living room where the actual living room component of it is squashed into a corner with just the sofa and the TV, because that's all we need. And then the rest of the room is basically Anna's existing Lego room. And the plan is there'll still be room in there for her PC to be set up. The internet goes straight into that room, and we should be able to stream from that room. The way we stream from Anna's room at the moment, we should be able to bring the streams back from effectively Anna's Lego room / the living room. And because the room has the sofa and stuff like that in it as well, maybe Dave won't be so much of a monster during the streams because he won't have to be right on top of us while we're doing it. He can just go sit on the sofa and watch telly. And I think it'll be really cool. I think it's going to be a huge upgrade, both in terms of how we live our daily lives, and also I think it's going to be huge for content as well, because as much as I've loved doing this, I've learned a lot during this process, and I think I tried to cram too much, too spread out. I tried to cram a big Lego city into a small Lego room, and I've learned that that doesn't necessarily work. So we're going to do things differently, and the long-term plan is still to get some off-site space at some point once Anna's surgery's out of the way and we're a little bit more settled. So maybe towards the end of next year. So we're probably going to have another year or so of a shelf city, effectively. I think that's what the cool kids call it. But maybe towards this sort of time next year, we'll look to get some off-site office space where we can then spread out a little bit and do a big Lego city again, but this time in a big space. So I think it's the best of both worlds, best of all worlds. I'm really excited. Hopefully you are too. I know this has been a long video, but now whenever anyone asks, I can just direct them to this one. So thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, because there's going to be so much content over the next couple of weeks, not just the August the 1st stuff, but also, of course, packing Lego up, moving Lego, setting up a new Lego room, setting up a shelf city from scratch, showing you all the stuff that I've learned and all the mistakes I've made here, and hopefully not make them again at the new place. It's going to be great stuff. So if you are new, subscribe, leave a like if you're excited, and you should be, because I am. And thank you very much for watching.